Well, there you are again. Charlie Greer podcast again. This is what I do every day. Today, we're talking about the are the Rake creatures real? Okay, so about a week or two ago, I did a podcast on naked hillbilly cryptids because I didn't really put two and two together. I've seen videos of the Rake, these kind of skinny, pale, alien-looking creature. They look more human, and uh, so I figured I didn't know what the name of what people, and they called them something else in back in Tennessee where I was growing up. They had two names which I still haven't figured out. Still working on that. Can't remember. Yeah, and the so I went. Okay, the Rake. I remember Rake creature, and then it seems like it was invented on a website or something. They're saying like it was a. Here, let me get some. There we go. And quite honest, the videos I saw and like the pictures looked a little, photoshopped, or because the things that I saw weren't that kind of mean looking. Again, I didn't put. I almost forgot that I used to see these things with my dad when we were fishing down on Dry Creek and wherever else we were at. And so I think that's what maybe are they real? Because we just thought they were like crazy naked hillbillies. And some of them were kids, like these naked kids, and the young ones had blonde hair, and they were kind of looked like we thought they were the twins. My dad was like, "I hope we don't see the twins." And I'm not the only one. If someone's watching back in my hillbilly hometown, comment because we were down in places where other people were fishing or doing whatever, and they took off too. But at the time, we weren't putting it into like paranormal uh, parameters. We were just like, okay, crazy people in the wood. Strange thing that in town where I lived, there was a creek that I spent most of my childhood and growing up running the creek. I never saw the any of those. It was only out in the boonies, not a gas station around. Just hillbilly. You're off the main road, turns into a gravel road. The street lights stop, but yeah, we would see these things. I was like, okay, the Rake, is that the thing that we used to see? Because the ones that I watch these videos on they look kind of fake. And a picture can be fake nowadays. I mean, come on, man. They have some good fakes. They have for a while. I mean, shit, you know. So yeah, we would see these naked people. They were all men, or I thought they would. They looked like guys. Like out in the woods near the creek. As soon as we'd see them, like, let's go. And we'd see these kids. And a lot of times we'd see these two. They look like twins, and they were, blonde headed. Didn't really pay attention because I was like, "Hey, how you doing? I want to make friends." And then, but then there was times where we saw more than two. It was like 8 of them. And we'd see these. Again, they're just not walking up like, "Here we go." These like, I guess, older naked hillbilly cryptids. You see a flash, a glance, a peek. They were all bald though. The older ones, I saw one time like duck between like a log or a tree, and I saw his bald head. I was just like, man. My dad, go. Let's just go. And it wasn't even like run, let's go. Just like, okay, let's get out here. We'll move on. And we'd go down to another place. So are they real? Has anybody else seen these things? Has anybody seen a Rake? I mean, is there another name to call them? Is it kind of like Bigfoot, where wherever you're at is a different name? Like it's Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever. I honestly don't know what to think because, again, what was I doing? I was doing one of the hunting for the Bell Witch, and that brought up memories I mean, when I was a kid, me, my sisters and cousins who went hunting for the Bell Witch. You got to look at who she is or was or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, those naked hillbilly. But then years ago, like 15 years ago, I remember the first time I saw a video of a rake or one of those weird. I thought, is that what we saw? Then I forgot about that. I got the shit going on. Could be. But we all need to ask ourselves, huh? Like what is it? Is there are there like rake hunters? Is there like a society of, is there multiple? Like every state has like, I'm the Southern Regional, and I'm not making fun. I mean, maybe hey, I'll go rake hunting. But yeah, I would see these things usually deep in DeKalb County, what they call Dry Creek. We were off the, way back in the. And honestly, we were so way back, I don't even know if it was still Dry Creek. There's other creeks and whatever out there, ponds and, beautiful area. Man, the Dry Creek area, it's just beautiful. But then again, it's just like kind of, maybe there's a reason they haven't developed it. Maybe they developed. I haven't been home and I've been to Smithville in like 20 something years. I was thinking about moving back there, but I contacted some people and did some research, and it's just too expensive because I wanted to move back to my small town thinking it's cheap, but no. The reason where I'm at right now is just because of financial reasons. I had to, LA is too expensive, too dangerous. All my friends had already left. Everybody during this, what we've been going through these last couple of years, gone. I mean, I was like the last man standing. It's like, I'm out of here too. Didn't want to leave, but it's like, well, I mean, what I loved about LA, it's changed. It kind of looks the same, but I wonder if there's like rakes in LA or up in the San Gabriel Mountains or whatever. Well, we would see these things again. I'd say they were about my height. They were always had a little height on them, 5'11", 6'2", between that. Skinny. So I'm thinking they were maybe, I don't know, but man, they were skinny. So maybe 140, really elusive with their heads, and just not, again, we'd see them. They weren't right in front of it. We'd see one to go. And those kids, they looked pale, but they looked human. I mean, they had blonde hair, but there was something about them. I don't know. My dad would see them like that. We'd be going to, I hope I don't see the twins. Hope we don't see the twins. That's what we called them, twins, because we'd always see in twos most of the time. And again, there was other places where we just quit going down there because it's just, no. We go to somewhere else. We go to, Center Hill Lake or wherever. Again, I never saw them in town. I never saw them in the creek that I used to run, that ran underneath the strip, we called it. And I knew every kind of rock and stone when I was a kid. I loved it. It was like the best time, just going to the creek. And I'd sometimes have friends, and then sometimes I'd be by myself. And I'd knew how to make fishing holes and swimming holes, hillbilly fun. But yeah, when I was reading about them, it said like on some site, they were coming up with like, who could, invent the weirdest cryptid. And they were talking about like, maybe they, but maybe there's something to that. Okay, maybe they did come up with the name Rake and but maybe it is fake. But, and again, the videos that I saw wasn't the same. They were more scared. The ones on video were scarier, like this more like monster, you don't want to run. You don't want to talk sense in one of the, oh man. I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Are they? Does someone know? Has somebody got more information? Have you hunted these things? Do you know people that we saw, other people saw these naked hillbilly cryptids. They were, we just thought they were like crazy Dry Creek people. There's a lot of crazy stuff in the, deep in the woods, man. Hey, um, not only that, you just run in. Sometimes you run into some old hillbilly dude. Like, what? How you doing? They don't even talk to you. Walk by and you can smell them, and it's just like, damn. And there's places you don't want to go. I mean, maybe if you're cousins with somebody. But I'm gonna do a deeper dive. Again, I'm not the rabbit hole dude. There are people that they're good. They're talented at just and they can network. They know other birds and feathers stick together kind of thing. I know I've got a team of. Is there? Can somebody post a link in that I can see? Or people don't want to talk. See, I come from that kind of thing where just don't say anything. They'll think you're crazy. Even me coming up, late '80s, early '90s, when I was into UFOs and Bigfoots and all this stuff, and people thought I was crazy. JFK assassination. The strange thing is, most of those people now think along the lines that I do. I'm not so crazy now. If you hear that noise, it's my dog. She's going crazy. What are you doing, silly? She's a handful. Has she seen her? And speaking of her, she got fleas, so I had to go to war with the fleas. I got that stuff to put on her back, and then I got some flea shampoo that's made out of oatmeal, and then so I got rid of the fleas, but she's still kind of itching. Maybe it made her skin dry. I don't know, but I got to go back and get some other stuff and continue the war with the fleas. Mother dog, they don't get fleas. They don't like it. It's funny. He's kind of got this person fleas. It is them. They don't mess with him. I've never seen a flea. He's never scratched. Maybe they know better. But yeah, the rake. Is it fake? Did they come up with it? Like, oh, let's have a contest to see who can invent the coolest new cryptid. Are they? Is there is there levels to this rake game? Like, is there certain ones and this none? And the one. Let's see if you run into those, you gotta. Are they different? Do some have hair? Do some don't? I mean, do they speak? Never heard it. Ones we saw never heard anything. The kids, again, part of me, I'd be like, hey, and the kids would always just kind of like be there. Like they walk out of the woods and they head into the creek, and they'd always be coming at us, walking slow in the creek, doing their own thing though. Wouldn't even acknowledge, wouldn't look in the eye, wouldn't. And again, I'd forgotten this. I did a podcast, and you were, what? As I was doing my podcast, I'm thinking, oh my God, has anybody else seen something like that? Again, if you live like in a hillbilly town in the hollers of Tennessee, you might see somebody naked. I mean, that's just what it is. I was out fornicating, and then, who knows? But again, we have to ask ourselves, what is going on here? Who are these naked hillbilly cryptids? The rake, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around what the older generation, they had two of names for the. Well, you done saw it, or they just live out there. Hey, they're just crazy. Because you'll stumble up like on like they're baptizing people. Like you hear this noise, like what the hell is going on? Fish ain't biting. What's that noise? Go around the corner. There they are, like some little church, and they get people in line, and they're like being baptized. Matter of fact, I used to. Can I do it? Sure. Been baptized a bunch. Yeah, right in the creek. Come on there, brethren, whoever so you just stumble upon things. When I was driving across country this past February, I was like in Missouri, and like it's just rock hills and woods thick. There's nothing around. within like 100 miles, I saw it twice happen where, because you can see the dudes coming out of the Met Mouth dudes with a backpack and a car waiting, and they're coming out of the woods. First one I thought, like, what they're doing? What's he been camping? They pick him up. He's got a YouTube channel. I saw his face. I'm like, oh, dude, he's a Met Mouth. Then it happened again. About another 20 mile, 30 mile. I was like, oh, they're out there in the woods doing, God knows what they're doing. Probably not good, But you have to ask these questions like, okay, for one, I'm not going into the woods. Okay, I grew up running in the woods and the creeks. Yeah, whatever. I wasn't a hunter. I like to just, fish and maybe if I was armed. I don't have a gun. I don't even have a pellet gun. I'm not armed. I don't know. I don't like guns. Matter of fact, I didn't like to hunt. My uncle's like, "Come on, hunt," and I was like, "Yeah, at first." And you're like, "No, I don't. Don't like guns. Don't like to be around guns." I mean, that's just me. That's just my humble opinion. Have your gun. I don't care. But that ain't for me. I don't need. I don't need that. Again, we live in a strange, mysterious world, and dangerous. But I've never carried a gun. But if I was going back, if I was down where I used to be, going in the woods, I would want to be armed or somebody that's armed. Because again, just because doesn't mean you can't. But people they shoot themselves. You got to take some training. I know this. You got to hold it right. You be walking beside somebody, boom, I'm sorry, I shot you. But if I was going into a deep dive, if I was like, going into the woods, I would need something. A dude in a helicopter above me that's armed. He's 100 yards in front of you. Go, run. Have they figured out that there's certain things in the woods that you can that are out there? If they're there, that they know. And maybe they don't know. Like, man, that's just mysterious. We can't say anything because we don't know. What are we supposed to say? Yeah, they're out there, but doggone it, we just don't. That's not how governments or people they don't like to admit they don't know. They want to make sure they're in control and they need to do this. And I get it. They want to keep people safe because we give them money to keep us safe. And they need that illusion of power. But this might be kind of a reoccurring. The more I know, the more I talk to people, if they're willing to talk about it. Again, it's kind of weird. I'm just asking questions. I don't know. Maybe, perhaps, who knows? That's why I put it as a question. Are the Rake creatures real? Question mark? Because I don't know. A lot of times when I watch if I'm, on a conspiracy or a cryptid or whatever, alien, these people that, they said that they know. It's like, well, see, have you went in the field and or are you just watching other YouTube videos and other people's books? See, we're all kind of guilty of that too. Oh, see, I know. And you just read the same shit that somebody else read, or watched. So I'm curious. It's kind of racking my brain. Like, man, did we see these? And why us? I mean, I remember this when there was probably about 4 or 5 of us. We're spread out. We're just pulled over. A lot of times we'd see a car pulled over. Well, there must be good fish in there. And the weeds, you see some pat, you just go through and you see some, holler. Oh, no. They're like, shut up. Because when you're talking a lot, the fish won't bite. And see something like that. Again, I was a kid, man. I must have been like 8 years old, 9 years old, maybe younger. And then finally, we just quit going to certain, because we would go deep into the mount, the hollers and again, I've seen, not just seen, but I've more so heard, and it just kind of, I don't know what it is. Like there's something. I quit going deep in them. One time we heard this buzzing, and then we felt like we were vibrating. We thought it was bees at first, and then we didn't know. It never happened again. But I felt safe near the creek near my grandmother's place because it was connected to backyards and, basically a big driveway that had, or a parking lot that had all kinds of business. It was just gravel back then. So I could like jump up the bank and run. And I never saw, I did though, this is another thing. I did have these weird, like you're in the creek, something all of a sudden it's just like, what? Like shit isn't right. Your ears are red, everything looks different. Like, and I just leave. Like, I'm feeling good. Maybe I didn't eat enough food. Again, it could be that. Like I didn't eat enough food. I was dehydrated. Sun just got to me. I'm open enough to think that, yeah, it could have been. Could have been. So do you know, does anybody know any kind of, have you heard? Do you live in a dry creek? Maybe so. Maybe you're documenting these. But man, I tell you what, forget about the rate. What if people around have seen naked people in the woods down in dry creek? It just, everybody talked. It's just a thing. Like back then, 70s and 80s, nobody heard about the Rake. Again, they just named this thing like what, 15, 20 years ago, whatever. People just don't know. I mean, they just out there, stay away because they might run into. People had different explanations. Like, oh, they're just poor. They don't have no clothes. They just run out there. They're crazy. I mean, that's what I would hear. But there's people probably to this day that just spend a lot of time out in the woods where I'm from. Just hunting and where they look ginsenging and looking for mushrooms and there's all kinds of stuff. You can make if you got the wherewithal and you can make a living in the woods. A guide hunt or whatever, ginseng, if you know what to look for, truffles. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff you got to know. You got to have a good pig that can sniff out a truffle, but pull him back before he eats the thing. Well, he's not that trained. He'll eat the truffles. But there are things that people aren't gonna say. I used to get up in Hollywood, like in the middle of the morning, like because I lived right off Sunset, and I would walk at like 5 a.m. as soon as the sun's coming up. It's cool in the marine layer. I just be like, man, I'm just gonna walk around. Nobody out. Cops maybe. And I was off Sunset. It was Aaron Records, which I think was like on Highland. And I used to live like a couple blocks from there. So I was on one of those side streets. And then there's a street behind Aaron Records. I was walking. It was in the morning. And I see like these weird, they look like government vans. Not a few cops, but there was like other like authority. I don't even know who they were, man. But started hearing this noise. And they're like, whoa, 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 you can't. I was like, well, hey, you can't walk around. You get it. And so I'm walking away, and I look back, and they have this, probably one of the biggest things I've ever seen. And it was a moose. This thing's like its legs and where its body started was like head high to these dudes, and they had it like lassoed. There was probably, I don't know how many, and he had these big, huge, I mean, in the middle of Hollywood behind Aaron Records. Like it was like this parking lot with a fence, and they trying to get him. Helicopter, it was popping off, and I was like, what in the hell? Like a moose. Where's a moose come from in Hollywood? Like, it's just Hollywood proper, Like, what's the moose? And one of them goes, oh, he got loose from the studio, and we came out here, and maybe they were shooting a moose movie or something. Maybe I don't know. But that, again, strange, mysterious world. I'm not saying that's a cryptid. It's just that, like, Strange things happen. You know, a friggin' moose. I've never seen this thing. Could have went through a house, man. Forget about hiding in your car. I mean, no, or even a van. Like, no. And how big of a gun would you need to try to defend yourself from this big moose? I mean, you'd have to have a bunch of people with like high powered. And I hear moose are pretty. They'll mess you up. The biggest living thing I've ever was this moose in Hollywood on the streets of like whatever it was, Cole Street, whatever the hell it was. They had it lassoed, you know. Didn't hear about it on the news. Didn't hear about it. I tried back then. I'd watch this. Like, let's what? I told my friend, they the moose. It's gonna be on the. No, we don't know the news. So the point I'm trying to make is there are strange things. Maybe this isn't a rake. Maybe it is just like a bunch of naked, hungry, poor communers or something. They have a commune out there. I don't know. Because I'd heard that too. Like, oh, there's communes out there. You don't want to mess with those. And I also heard stories about, oh, see, there's a certain region where these old war guys that went to war, they don't want to be around civilization. So they live out in the woods there. You got to stay away from that area. And they're not too friendly. They don't like strangers. Just over these stories. Oh, stay away from there because there's a. And then add upon, like, there's snakes and mountain lions or whatever. They get take that in consideration too. And we weren't even doing the deep dive. There's people that like go, it took us 2 hours to get there. You know, like we were just on the, just out of the, you know, we didn't go that deep, but people do. Building tree stands and I don't even know what. Camp in the middle of nowhere. Surely they have. And I guarantee you they probably haven't even told their wife. Just like, man, I'll never say it. Perhaps. I bet they have. Comment below if you have or you think it's, again, it could be. Again, I'm on the fence. I don't know. I know what I saw. Again, to me, they were just like naked hillbillies. But they were cryptic because they were just like pale. I've never seen anybody that pale. And their skin color wasn't, you know, it was strange. And sometimes they were like lumbering, like you could see, you know, just kind of, and then something, you couldn't, like hyper speed. I don't know. And I hope I don't ever find one. Because that's just some like kind of hillbilly thing to do. Like, hey, we know where they're at. Let's just kind of, let's get him down here, and then leave him. Ha ha ha! Isn't that funny? Got to watch out. You don't want to be trolled or. So you get your confidence. Yeah, we like it now. See. So again, I'm on the fence. Strange, mysterious world we're living in. How did a moose break out of the Paramount studio or wherever it was? It had to be Paramount. That's the only studio that's around. It's like maybe a mile down in Hollywood. And it's guarded with big gates. Would it jump the fence? It's so big, maybe it did. Maybe it jumped one of those walls. I don't know. Just took off, you know. I mean, that's what they said. Hey, the moose got loose from the studio. Go on, you need to be. It's dangerous. Okay, I used to see strange things on Sunset. You know, people abandoning nice cars, like right there in front of. Why don't you pull down a little bit? I'm walking here. Why would you pull right there where I'm at and just grab your and then run and leave it? Huh? Like all this space, and obviously you look like it's probably a stolen car. You know, why would you want to witness around? Just go around. I wouldn't even notice you if you slowed down and went somewhere. You know. Yeah, but one time it was like a Lamborghini or something. It was like a nice car. Dude got out, and he didn't look that rough. I mean, he looked like he was rich. Took off running, and I'm just like, damn, look at this car. And then here comes the cops, and they obviously knew I wouldn't. They're like, did you what? Where did you go? Usually they'd be like, did you thinking I'm did? No, they're like, no, he ran that way. I mean, shit. Strange. But look, I do this every day, y'all. Every day I'm doing this. Come back and see me. Comment if you have seen these things. Love you. Be blessed. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.